Francesca
I don't even like
not,
it is
Well,
literally
hang on,
he
Margot.
just got convicted on 34 counts.
Francesca, what was the crime?
Of like cooking the actual books.
What was the crime?
You are not allowed to use your own finance.
Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire slams woke Francesca Fiorentini in this clip from Piers Morgan Uncensored with Piers Morgan, as Francesca Fiorentini spazzes out after being asked a very simple question, and after she can't do it and it's explained to her why she is wrong, Francesca Fiorentini still rejects the truth before Michael Knowles sets her straight. Let's check it out.
Michael, look, I do think there's a ridiculous double standard here that will come back and bite the Democrats. For the reasons that Mark Garagos said about historically, you've seen this coming a mile off, where both parties starting to ratchet up this concept of kind of going after each other's leaders in criminal courts. I mean, you've seen this normally in banana republics, not in the United States of America. And it really does worry me, as someone who loves America and loves Americans, what this is leading to. Because if all that happens in each term of office is one party trying to incarcerate the other's leader, I don't know where that leaves America in a few years' time.
Well, this will only come back to bite Democrats if they lose their grip on power, and obviously they don't think that they will. This is why President Biden the other day, when he was walking out of a press briefing, was asked, Mr. President, Donald Trump says that you are imprisoning him because he's your political rival. What do you say to that charge?
Well, I'll stop you there. We have the clip. Let's play the clip.
Mr. President, can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign?
I mean, you look like Jack Nicholson in The Shining at the end of that. But yeah, I mean, Michael, to pick up your point there, that's the clip you're referring to.
Yes, and it's pretty clear this is not a man who thinks that he has to be accountable to the American people. When you look at the federal charge against Trump, there was a poll that came out when that charge was brought that showed 62% of Americans think that it's primarily politically motivated. They just don't seem to care. And so this has been a ratcheting up, as we've all noted on the panel, of trends that have been built up for some years now. Some would say going back to Richard Nixon. But certainly in the early Trump campaign, the Democrats tried to stop him from being president by spying on him and cooking up fake intelligence, ironically enough, with Russia, and that didn't work. Then they tried to throw him out by impeaching him twice. That didn't work. Then they tried to kick him out by rigging the election and changing all the voter rules, in some cases in contravention of state constitutions leading up to that election. That did get him out of office, and he did leave office, but then he didn't go away. He kept running again. So then they indicted him 4 times. Now they've convicted him. They're going to threaten to throw him in prison. Pretty soon they're going to threaten to send him to St. Helena. But this has absolutely nothing to do with the law. As was noted earlier, at most you're talking about a misdemeanor that would have already expired under the statute of limitations. I'm not even convinced that there was really a misdemeanor that Trump committed. So my fellow panelist here is celebrating that the rule of law has been vindicated and overturned 234 years of American legal tradition. I would challenge her to see if she could possibly articulate how and what crime Trump committed, because so far Alvin Bragg, the DA, has failed to do so. The judge in the case, Judge Merchan, has failed to do so. And they can't do it because Trump didn't commit any of the crimes for which he's been convicted.
Well, let's just ask quickly before I go to Kevin. Francesca, just on that point, what crime did Trump commit?
It was financial crimes. It was white collar crimes. That is exactly what they charged him. He was convicted on.
What was the crime?
It's New York State law.
I understand. What was the crime?
It is
As you can see, folks, even when Piers Morgan just asked the question, exactly what is the crime, Francesca Fiorentini, I mean, she's struggling to think of it. And if you would ask anyone, that's all anyone could answer. Like, oh, he, put money in the wrong place and did all that. But no one could give you the actual code. No one could give you like the real actual crime. Like when Donald Trump didn't do all this, but when the woke media tried to attack him for it. And I mean, everyone just asked him, what's the crime? What's the crime? This is the problem when you polarize someone in the country and then you take a bunch of brainwashed people in especially positions of power and then focus their attention all on them. Like, this is what happens when you put NPCs in control. Like, this is the stuff that they will do. But yeah, luckily, obviously, that didn't work out. And today is a good day that we could actually possibly celebrate. I think it's January 6th, right? interesting how things turn around. Let me know so far what you think about what Michael Knowles has said to woke Francesca Fiorentini. Leave a like. Let's get back in.
Francesca,
I don't even like it. It is hang on, Mark, he just got convicted on 34 counts.
Francesca, what was the crime?
Of like cooking the actual books.
What was the crime?
You are not allowed. So you are not allowed to use your own financial, like your own money to pay off somebody, and then he logged it as something different. He logged it as just a regular payment, but he was actually paying off this star to keep quiet, which if he hadn't been running for president would not have mattered, but he was, and so it impacted campaign finance laws in New York State. Okay, that is what Juan Merchan just oversaw this.
Okay.
Alvin Bragg got these charges because Michael Cohen, his fixer, was already sentenced to 3 years to do it.
Let's just go before, Kevin, I'd be very, very, very patient. I will come to you.
Look, I'm no expert. Let me just say, hang on,
No,
Michael.
Francesca.
You are no expert.
By the way.
Because the campaign finance law is a federal law.
Hang on,
Anyway,
Francesca. I want to go to Mark. You're the lawyer. Is anything Francesca just said, is that actually the crime?
Look, let me just say, I like Francesca a lot, and we probably agree on 80% of our worldviews. However, Francesca, the way you just described it, call me afterwards and I'll educate you, because that's not what happened. There was no theory that was given to the jurors. The jurors were told it could have been campaign finance, it could have been tax, it could have been false books. They were told they didn't have to specify, and specifically told they did not have to agree unanimously. That's what irks me. Lifelong Democrat, no fan of Trump, never voted for Trump, never will. But I will tell you, as somebody who has spent his entire career kind of taking on unpopular causes and holding the government accountable, I have to tell you, I do that for a reason. And the reason is this kind of shenanigans, and that's the best light I can spin it on, in the criminal courts has no place in a federal election.
I don't mean to pick on Francesca too much here, but it's very telling that even the liberals who are going on television to defend this ruling have to Google in the breaks to figure out what the crime was. and even then, I'm sorry to say, misrepresent what the actual supposed crime was. The reason here that this has to take... Well, excuse me one second, Francesca. I'll just finish my point real quickly.
Books. That's the same thing.
Yeah. It's not a felony, not a crime. But anyway, that's a point for another time. The reason why even the great defenders of this conviction can't... yes, to you as well. The reason that they can't articulate this is because it's not really a crime. That's why they had to upend 234 years of precedent for this. And it gets back to a point that you made earlier, Piers, and that you made, Kevin, which is that Alvin Bragg really overplayed his hand. Sure, he overplayed his hand to some degree, but what else were they going to do? Donald Trump was always going to be the Republican nominee in 2024. A lot of people feel that he was gypped in 2020. He's the biggest guy in the party. It was going to happen. And Trump poses a real threat to the liberal establishment. He's not a Mitt Romney type Republican. He has different views from the so-called uniparty on things like trade, on things like immigration, and things like foreign policy and war. Trump posed a major threat. That's why they took such extraordinary measures for the last 8 years to take this guy out. They weren't able to do it politically. They weren't even really able to do it at the ballot box. So what's left? The only thing left to do is to try to throw him in prison so that he can't campaign for the election.
I think woke Francesca Fiorentini and the rest of the wokies are going to have a real hard time the next 4 years with Donald Trump coming into office. And Michael Knowles is exactly right. They've tried everything to stop him, and now what's going to happen? They're going to try to do everything to impede him. Why? Because the left is still not going to stop. Francesca Fiorentini is never going to contrite from her position. This is going to be the left just throwing a childlike tantrum for the next 4 years, and trying to do everything they can to stop every good thing from happening, and all the while claiming that they're the victim and Donald Trump is still orange man bad. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, folks. But thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought about what Michael Knowles had to say to Francesca Fiorentini in this clip from Piers Morgan. Take care, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.